Everybody, welcome back to another episode of DFS Fantasy NASCAR Picks. I'm your host, Mega 31. Hope you're having a good weekend. These races have been kind of boring in Nashville, like truck race, like nobody could pass. I guess led the whole race. Only had a couple people lead, and Gibbs, and then Cole Custer a little bit, and John Hunter Nemechek. But like we knew this was going to happen. I've been talking about it all weekend. There's really one groove, so restarts are the keys here. So that's why I put restart and pit data up there because you're going to make up ground through the pitting or on restarts. But other than that, it's super hard to pass here. Now, in the back of the pack, like people fan out 4 or 5 wide, and there is some passing there. But like to try to get to the leader is very, very difficult. So weather's gonna be blazing hot too, so it's gonna be slick. We'll see. I don't anticipate too many tire issues. It's an intermediate track, but it's like weird because it's like intermediate, but like almost a short track in corners. So I mean, they've been racing here a couple years. They should be used to it. Multiple guys ran the Xfinity race today, so to kind of dive into it and see what we can come up with you for you. And we kind of added something at your request where some like YOLO plays, like if you're trying to take down the like top GPP, like what plays would you um what would I recommend? And last week, like they were crushing the ones that I picked. And like actually the person during the rain delay that was winning the 100K had all three in there, but then they extended the race and some things happened and it didn't work out. But they did have some solid days. So, you know, who know that the rain tires would make that much of a difference for some of the drivers. So we'll just have to remember that if they ever go back to having to do that. But I don't believe I'll have to worry about that this time. So Hamlin has the pole on tracks like this. He's been good on concrete. Um, so I think that he's definitely going to be one that's going to go out there and be able to dominate, lead early, and be very hard to pass. And will he lead and dominate the whole race? I don't think so. But fourth on restart, seven in pit, should have the number one pit stall, should be decent. Josh Berry followed up a solid week last week with getting the inside pole, outside pole, however, the number two position in qualifying here. 18th overall in practice, but I think that you can consider him as a cheap upside dominator. I think like he shows that, his team and his talent, and he was good on these tracks in Xfinity too. He should be able to stay in the top 10. I don't know if he's going to get out there and lead the race at any point, but I think you can still consider dominators. Probably gonna have super low ownership, so probably everybody's going to dismiss him with the cars around him. So I'm not going to put him in the 100K lineup this week as a recommendation, but you might make sense there too. Uh, because I think that's like a GPP build for you. Bell, after last week, I think he's gonna get a lot of ownership. Number one in restarts. He's just terrible in pits, and that's just what continues to concern me. Like he put it all together last week. Just had an amazing weekend overall, winning both races. And this car should be strong and has a lot of upside. But again, just he losing spots on pit road, getting penalties, getting into wrecks and stuff. I think that he's definitely a GPP and somebody in your dominator pool, but I can't play him in cash. Larson, I like here too, just as Hamlin. If you get the two of these dominators in, I left the prime core for cash pretty cheap. So if you want to try to get both of them in here, it isn't going to make you throw up in your mouth when you build the rest of your lineup. So I didn't figure out the pricing if you do play two of them with the prime, how it works out, but um, that's something I might consider. But I don't know if I think we've seen three races here, and I believe it was like one race had like three dominators, one race had one dominator, one race had two dominators. So you don't know, and I think I'd rather play like a more balanced lineup in the the lower teens. There's a lot of great cash plays there. Then try to squeeze the two of these in. But I think, if you want to, then I tried to give you prime plays that would be able to make it happen for you. Brad Keselowski, he's qualifies well. I don't know if he'll be able to hang up here. I could see him leading at some point. He does do really good with pit strategy, getting out there with track position and holding and staying out longer or short pitting or things like that. So I think there's some upside there. It's just not bad on restock shade here. Tyler Reddick is in really good form recently, so an 88 is a great price for him here. Um, Ran the Xfinity race today, and yeah, so he's seen this track, even though it's a different car and stuff. It just gives him a little bit more experience here. And it looked like in practice and qualifying for like the cup, like it made a little bit difference for some of the guys. So maybe that's baked in here. The price is reasonable. Nissan restarts, okay, I'm pit now in the top 10, but I think that's another dominator you can consider. William Byron, a GPP here for me. Hasn't been great on these types of tracks. Would it surprise me if you go out there? You probably need some lead some laps to be in the optimal, but restarts he's been good. His pit crew has been really good. His crew chief usually gives him pretty good strategy to go out there, whether it be tires or when they pit and things like that to get track position. So and he's had decent speed here. So I don't maybe I'll change him to an upside dominator. He's definitely a GPP play, not somebody that can play in cash, but as someone that you could consider there. Ty Gibbs is my first 100K guy here. I just really liked how he looked in Xfinity. I really liked how he looked in practice here. And I just don't see the ownership on him. It doesn't really in the top 10 of restarts and pit. That's what I was really looking for here and hoping for. But I think that with all the other real sexy picks up here that he's going to kind of um, get overlooked. And I'm really hoping for that. And I think that he can have a solid day at low ownership. He can win this race. He's got the speed. Uh, Definitely uh, out there. See, 20 average. Like, see, it's kind of hard because they had different like rubber around the track and conditions and stuff when they do the two. It's not apples to apples, but like Ty Gibbs was in 20 lap average was like second fastest here, so I really like him. I don't not gonna play him in cash, but if you're trying to take down 100K, he's one of the guys I want in my lineup there. Chris Busher, it just hasn't really had speed on this type of track. He's a solid driver, having a good season. Uh, RFK racing like before it started out, and then he was like knocking on the door so many weeks in a row with disappointment. But only ran 10 laps, didn't have like a long um, average out there, and only ranked like 19th in speed overall. So I could kind of consider him if you're like one of the ones where like he's due and it's just a matter of time before something clicks and he gets that win. But it's a little bit dangerous starting ninth here. So GPP for me. Decent pit crew for him though, so he's got that going for him, but restarts he's pretty much average. Austin Cindric, he was one of my 100K guys last week. He overachieved, but done towards the end of the race, he just couldn't quite get it done. Like if they stopped that race, like at the rain delay, he would have been fine. Doesn't really show a lot of speed on these types of tracks. And starting 10th, like he did great in qualifying, but I just don't see him. I mean, he was fourth overall in speed, I guess. So maybe there is something there, but I just don't trust it. So it's gonna be fade for me. If you want to throw him in some GPP lines, I get it if you're looking at the speed, but he only ran like 5 lap averages. I don't think he had a 10 lap average, so that could be just deceiving. His speed could have been based on like the group he was in and the track conditions at the time. Austin Dillon, he did well last week too. This is another track where he should do well. He has done well historically, but I just struggle with these RCR cars. Xfinity look good. In Cup, they just had mechanical issues and just haven't had speed. He was 30th overall. I just can't play him starting 11th here. Yes, he's got a good pit crew, but Can't do it. Alex Bowman, really like him here, and he's going to be one of my 100K plays for it, recommendations for you. Allied sponsoring the race. I believe that this is their home base. Looks like he's going to be shopping for a ride next year. So if here's so many rumors that he's going to be replaced, I don't think they extended his contract. So this is a good chance for him in front of like his sponsor to make a good showing. So uh can he win the race? No, but can you go back to that blue collar lunchbox guy that goes out there at 8K and then you look at the standings at the end and be like, oh wow, Alex Bowman, had a pretty quiet day, ran a clean race and finished like third. That would give me place differential points, good finishing position. I'll take it. I think he's a solid play in your 100K lineup there. Chase Elliott's a GPP. He's had some success on this track, but just overall, uh, his speed was like 33rd. I just didn't see it. Like he's just more popular just because of he's like a popular driver more than his like abilities. And I don't say he's like washed out over hill. I just don't really think when I look at this like Hendrick's team, I think Larson's definitely on top. Byron is a clear cut second, and I think that there's a gap and that Chase Elliott's a third here. And are there times where he'll put together races and have a good race? Yes, but I just don't see it enough to have the floor for me for Kenji. Pit crew's been good. Restarts have not. They've been average, a little bit below average. So here, I just don't think you can pass enough cars to make a difference. McDowell, phenomenal day yesterday or last week. A good, just he was not on my radar. And if I had him or Cindric in that 100K lineup, I think we would have seen a lot of not takedowns, but people that did play the 100K guys in the lineup. And when you use these 100K guys, it's okay to use the chalk or use the prime plays if they fit with it, or eat some good chalk just to match the field there. But these are the ones that are going to give you the differential and ownership and leverage on the rest of the field. And McDowell, I just don't think I think a lot of people chase the success that they saw last week, but I mean he was ninth in overall, and he was up there in like 10 and 15 lap average. He was 2, 4, 6, 7. So I think there's some speed there. I think there's some potential. Just like overall, how he's done these tracks hasn't been great. So GPP play just was starting position. Like if he was starting like 20th or a little bit further on down, I think he'd have the floor for cash, but I just can't get there. And looking at he's not in the top 10 in either category for restart or pit crew. Actually, like his pit crew's okay, but his driver rating, like getting on not an off pit road, is like loses a lot of positions there. Can't afford that on this track where you can't really make it up by passing. So I'm out on there. Most is one that I usually like to play, but he's starting too far forward here for me also. I think he had some decent practice speed, but I just can't. No, he didn't. 37th, one of the worst. Never mind. Forget that. So yeah, Hocevar, not playing him. And the final 100K guy I'm going to play, and you notice like they're all in the top 16, which you're dangerous. Like Mega, why are you doing this? Why place differential? Well, if it's going to be follow the leader, if it's going to be hard to pass, like we saw in the Truck Series and we saw to the point of Xfinity Series, most of the wrecks are in the back with drivers on a hot slick track that aren't as good. So I just hope that the drivers up here in the top 20, barring a couple of them, are going to be solid. And I don't see anybody that's like super aggressive around them. Gregson ran a great Xfinity race. He finished fifth. He started in the top 10, and he was just there. And he's been good on this track. He's good on this track types in Xfinity. His pit crew's decent. Restart's not in the top 10, but I believe he was in like the top 15. So I just somebody that I really like here. And I think he's going to get low ownership. He ran the Xfinity race, so he's got a little bit more practice. So, lock him in as your third 10K, 100K lineup guy. Truex, I think he's going to be very chalky here. He and Blaney make really good cash plays here at place differential. Blaney got loose on the qualifying lap, but Blaney had the best speed in practice by far. It was him and then Gibbs, I believe. So I like Blaney here, and Truex has just been masterful on these types of tracks. Doesn't qualify well, but works his way up through the field. And I don't have the Dominator tag on him because I really wanted to highlight him as a cash play, and I didn't want to put the purple dom on him just in case he doesn't get up there. But I think both these plays you can't really go wrong with if you're doing a balanced lineup. I would take one of Hamlin and Larson, play one of these two guys with the prime plays, and then figure out who fits in the rest of your lineup. Briscoe had an amazing week last week with the figured out the rain tires and like on the restarts gained like 10, 12 positions, like was blown by everybody. If the race was a little bit longer, he might have chased down and the leader and actually won the race. But I think that he's one to consider in GPPs here. They're not on the rain tires. It's going to be different. All the Stuart Haas guys are actually he's going to Joe Gibbs. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Where maybe the Stuart Haas teams will give a little bit more resources to the drivers that are still fighting to get jobs for next year. Since he's got things settled, we'll see. How things play out with this. So GPP for me, and more to come on him. Ross Chastain, love him in cash here. 9K, place differential, does well on these tracks, and I believe this is Trackhouse's home track. They're based in Nashville. So put in the chat if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that's the case. So I like the fact that they'll have like the support and home team and stuff. And he won this race last year here. So one, has that guitar or whatever that they give out as a trophy. So I think he'll have high ownership. He's really good at restarts. Pit crew, okay. But I think there's enough for him to have floor and cash up solid day and get some place differential and have a good day here. LaJoy Priest are just don't have the speed here, starting way too far forward. They're going to drop like a rock. Can't play them. I'm not touching them. Stenhouse, I would consider. He's not bad here, but he's on baby watch. And, if he doesn't start the race, then he doesn't get points. But just the whole interruption, if like he's not gonna, his wife goes in labor and he wants to get out of the car and hop on the plane to be there, get it. They have somebody from Xfinity ready to go. Maybe it's like Herps or somebody. I can't remember who it is, but I think that just too much of a distraction there. I don't need his salary. I can make it up in other places. If he beats me, he beats me, but just a situation I want to avoid. Bubba, I love starting down here. 78 has always been good on these types of tracks. 2311 has shown some great speed here. Had some good numbers in practice. He was third overall, 15 lap average and 20 lap average. He was fourth. It was Blaney Gibbs and Barry right up there. Truex was there too. So I just really like Bubba, and 78 is a great floor play for your cash games. So prime play, lock it in for me. Harrison Burton should probably get a fade here. Harrison Burton is usually turtle slow. Harrison Burton is volatile. Harrison Burton is not going to be in this car next year. Harrison Burton is looking for a job. Harrison Burton speed was 36. Harrison Burton had an amazing race last week. Was flirting with the top 10. Kept it together. Is he turning the corner? I don't know. I'll give him a GPP this week instead of the traditional fade that I usually stamp on him. He's looked much better than Kyle Busch recently. So, I'll give him a chance here in a GPP. I'm not going to play him, but I'm not going to say he's a complete fade. Logano, I think, is a solid cash play, but he just, on these types of tracks and in Nashville overall, I just don't think he's got a good track history here. Uh, he's turning into like Jones in the Xfinity series where there's just certain tracks where you play him. If it's a brand new track or something, he's going to go good, but just like it's a terrible. season. Like I know he won the race, but didn't count for points, and he's got a lot of work to do to make the playoffs. I mean, the Truck Series only has a couple left, and Cup and Xfinity have plenty. They have a couple more races, Chicago Street Race, and then they have or Pocono, and then they have like the Olympic break for a couple. So I think he's still got time. I don't think it's like do or die now or never, but I think that he's got enough floor for cash here at that price point. Um, and it saves you a little bit off of like Truex and Blaney, Chastain if you can't get there, if you're trying to go up top a little bit and builds in a little bit more place differential. Kyle Busch, I know a lot of people are going to put the cash tag on him, are going to make him a core play again. We saw how that worked out last week. I said I wasn't on board with it. He had a disastrous race. He wrecked the car during caution, like just typical crybaby, left the car, walked away. Just this is not working out well with him leaving Joe Gibbs, and I, I don't know if it's Childress's problem or if he's lost his touch and isn't as sharp anymore. I mean, he does well when he goes to Xfinity and Truck Series, but just on this highest level, I just can't play him in cash. So GPP to fade for me, even though he's starting 27th and should 17th in speed. So nothing really screams to me like you got to play Kyle Busch. AJ Allmendinger had a solid Xfinity race. His college car is not the greatest, but 65 starting 28th. Like I think he can get up in the top 20, so a solid cash play for me. Corey Heim, super excited here. He got to come and fill in when Jones was injured and was in legacy car, but this is a 2311 car. 2311 is expanding to 3 cars, I believe, next year, and this is this is his future, either in 2311 or in Joe Gibbs Racing. Toyota has so much invested in him. He's such a talented driver in the Truck Series. He's been running Xfinity races, but Reddick filled in for him for the Sam Hunt car this week because they knew he was going to get opportunity in Cup. They wouldn't be putting him in this car. They wouldn't be fielding a third car if he was going to go out there and embarrass himself. He looked good. He had speed. His price is decent at 72. I love the starting position. So much upside, I think. And he's not going to drive like a rookie. He's not going to be driving scared. He's going to go out there kind of like Barry did last year and just did a solid job when he was filling in. I think he's going to be very comfortable here. They're going to put a lot of resources in there for him. So, give me him as a prime play. Riley Herbst, I think is a solid cash play. He had an amazing run last week and just all season. 5,200 is a good price tag. So a cash play for me there. Suarez, another cash play here. I think he's going to have high ownership. He's been really good at pits. Restarts is an okay, but again, his Trackhouse's home turf here, so that should help with the whole narrative there. I think they'll come out to really show, and he's running really well in Nashville too. Todd Gillian, front row, like he ran super solid last week. His starting position scared a lot of people off of playing him, but those who did got rewarded. He was able to hold his own, had a super solid race. Just a very good race car driver. I said front row is not secondary or third. I mean, they're not a bottom feeder team. They are probably a second tier team to like the big ones like Hendricks and I mean, they're getting close to being like almost pulling dead even to Penske um, with the Ford camp here. So McDowell and Gilliland have just been solid. They're going to probably add another car on next year, I think, or two. But this team is coming, and just like Trackhouse, we saw coming, and having success, like I think front row is going to be up there and definitely going to be contenders. Not with the top tier, but definitely second tier or the highest of like a third tier. Rick Ware Racing, Haley, he had an amazing race last week. Was up there, and I think he finished in the top 10, maybe even the top 5. Just great race, but he failed inspection or had an improved adjustment, so his car chief got ejected. He's got to do a pass through penalty. So it's a tough racetrack where it's hard to pass, or if he's going to start like a lap or two down because he's got to do a pass through penalty on pit road. Yes, he'll be able to make it up. Yes, he'll probably be able to get on a lead lap, but um and I just don't know if I can trust it. So a fade for me here. Eric Jones, these legacy cars have been bad. John Hunter Nemechek won the Xfinity race, so I think he's going to be highly owned. I think he's got a solid floor at cash at 68, but I'm not going to get to Jones at 66. It's pretty much the same play, the same car, average, same talent in the drivers here, but you're saving like $800 here by going with Nemechek over Jones. I think that's just a no-brainer. Zane Smith down here. I think that they're going to have some trackhouse backing too in the Spire team. Hasn't had a good season, but has always run good at track types like this. He's 23rd actually overall with speed. A 15 lap average. He was right outside the top 10. I think he was 11th. So you're going to need some value at 5,300. I think he's the perfect play to try to get up to like the Hamlin and Larson if you're trying to play there, and then maybe and get like the Truex and Blaney in. So I wanted to give you some value, and I think he's going to be, and he's got a ton of floor because he's got really no place to go but up. You have Hemrick, who is has one speed reverse, and Chad Fincham in a car that is probably going to finish like 10 laps down, and not because it has mechanical problems or accident, just because it is so slow. If there's no start and park usually in Cup Series, but this is the closest thing possible to that. So that's what I got for you. If you have any questions, put them in the chat below. Hit me up MegaRuler31 on Twitter/X. If you want more information on FSide DFS, you can get into our Discord, or we have the link for it out there on X. We've been running some promotions, so check out our X/Twitter feed. See what's going on there. And if you want to get to our website to see what our subscription plans are, then it's in the description of the video. And if you guys help, like, subscribe to our channel, share with friends. So thank you so much for watching. We're going to have the second installment of the Chicago Street Race. Hopefully we don't have weather and and NASCAR changing the rules and ending the race prematurely when it's not an official race like they did with Xfinity last year. So I just hope that everybody has a safe 4th of July. Celebrate responsibly. Wear your red, white, and blue. Celebrate this great country that we have. And next weekend when we're in out there in Chicago, I just hope that it's a safe time for everybody and that the weather holds up and that we can actually see some great racing and that Van Ginsbergen doesn't win every single race. So we'll see what happens there. Um, so thanks for watching. Good luck in your contest. You know how to get a hold of me. I'll see you next.